are at the city of David. I've been in Israel having an amazing time. And today I'm with this wonderful man named Asaf. We're going to show you some amazing evidence of the reliability of the Bible. We are going to literally walk in amazing areas mentioned in the Bible. So Asaf, please, it's all yours. I'm so glad we're here with you.
Okay, so nice to meet you.
Well, nice to meet you too.
On this ship, you represent His Royal Majesty and shall dress accordingly.
I like to tell people who come to visit Jerusalem, you can sit and read this book, the Bible, anywhere in the world. There's no other place you can walk around with the Bible as your guide, as in Jerusalem.
Yep.
The stories that took place over here thousands of years ago come to life when we walk through Jerusalem. That's what I want to walk through today. And the heart of the story is in Jerusalem, the city of the ultimate king of the Bible, and that is King David.
A remarkable structure was discovered near the Temple Mount during an excavation by the Israel Antiquities Authority at the Jerusalem Walls National Park. The City of David, one of history's greatest treasures, is named after King David, the second king of Judah, who united all of Israel and established Jerusalem as its capital during his reign around 1010 to 970 BC. This vital archaeological site represents one of the few surviving remnants of the Kingdom of Judah and the first temple period ever discovered in Jerusalem. The discovery is profoundly significant. It confirms that ancient biblical Jerusalem extended northward beyond the city of David toward the sacred temple, reshaping our understanding of the city's original scope. In this powerful and enlightening presentation, you'll join Benny Hinn as he explores the palace area of the kings of Judah and visits locations mentioned in the ancient books of Jeremiah and Nehemiah. You'll walk in the pages of the Bible as you accompany him on the actual streets Jesus traveled and see the Pool of Siloam excavation site where, as recorded in John's Gospel, our Lord healed a blind man. As you journey along the original path used by Jewish pilgrims, from ritual cleansing at the Pool of Siloam, constructed during King Hezekiah's reign in the Second Temple period, to worship at the Temple Mount, you'll vividly imagine the great pilgrimages that took place here thousands of years ago. More than anything, the discoveries at the City of David powerfully affirm that the Bible is not merely a spiritual guide, but a historical record of actual events, verified by modern science, and can be trusted as the inspired Word of God to direct your life.
So, people came here, I described the early archaeologists as people who came with a Bible in one hand and a shovel in the other. They started looking for these stories. And, the earlier archaeologists looked for treasures, for gold, for the raiders of the lost ark.
Yeah.
Today, it's more of a science. We use carbon dating, we use pottery reading, we use stratigraphy. And the accumulation of information that has accumulated over the last 150 years, this is the center of the story. Amazing. So that's what I want to take you.
And you use the Bible really as your roadmap.
Yes. And I would say, look, the ultimate king of the Bible, mentioned over 1,200 times, is King David. The city he lives in and where he resides and builds his palace is Jerusalem. Yeah. Where exactly? The hill we're standing on. But where exactly would a king build his palace on the hill? There's no GPS in the Bible. And that's why archaeologists came looking for and searching for the place. We're looking for a sign saying the house of King David. And this goes to the way people relate to the book. Some people would say every word here is given from God, even the letters, and some would say the shape of the letters. The more modern secular reading started questioning these stories, saying if I haven't found them in archaeology, or the stories don't match what we believe, then maybe it never happened this way. And there's a whole range in between. The archaeologists looking for these stories started not even looking at the right place. 150 years ago, they came to Jerusalem looking for David at David's tower. We know it's a later name. Today, we know it has nothing to do with David. And this site was only discovered about 150 years ago by a British archaeologist called Captain Charles Warren, who started thinking in a methodological way. He's looking for water. He's looking for a way to defend the water, for food. That's reasons people build their homes. And that's how he arrives at this hill at the time, outside of the city of Jerusalem, the old city of Jerusalem. So we're actually outside the walls of the old city, outside the old city of Jerusalem, but we're actually, in fact, in the ancient part of Jerusalem, on the hill where it all started. That's what I want to show.
Original Jerusalem.
Original
where
Jerusalem.
David had his palace.
Exactly. Now,
This is the same area that Nehemiah built the wall around. Yes, okay.
exactly. Now, as I said, as long as people haven't found a sign looking or saying this is the house of David, they continued questioning. And in the 1960s and 70s, there's questions whether David even existed. In 1993, that's relatively
Now
recent.
listen to this. This is amazing. Yeah.
That's relatively recent. It didn't happen here. It happened in the north of Israel, but a stone with a writing on it from the 9th century BC, saying an Aramaic king, bragging that he killed 2 kings. One of them is the king from the house of David. Why is that so important? Because it's the first time archaeology mentions David, who is the ultimate king of the Bible and full of stories, but it's the first time outside of the Bible we have the evidence of the existence of the house of David.
Beautiful.
That's 9th century BC. In 2003, 2005, the place we are standing at was excavated by a doctor from a Hebrew university called Eilat Mazal. And she comes out, she gathers this conference, and she says, I have found King David's palace.
How long will this take? I'm kind of in a rush.
Just 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
Just 10 minutes.
Get out.
Now, from not being existence at all, according to secular reading, to existing, but was he a king of a kingdom, like the Bible says, or a chief of a chiefdom on a tiny hill, like they wanted to believe because they haven't found. Now she comes and says, I found this palace. So let's go down there and see what she found.
I'm ready. Let's go. Come on with us.
We're stepping down a few meters. We're actually stepping down thousands of years to the bedrock of this
Sure,
hill.
I'm ready.
In 2 Samuel 5:11, the king of Tyre sent carpenters and masons to Jerusalem who built David a house. In 2005, remains of what became known as the large stone structure were discovered. Dr. Eilat Mazar's
We are
excavations
stepping down
unearthed evidence that, along with biblical clues, indicates that this was the palace of King David.
2025 to
1000 BC.
exactly. Wow, wow, and wow. I want to shout. It's like, oh, wow. Okay, so what are we looking at? You go ahead.
So many people came down here and did not have the wow effect at the beginning because she says, welcome to King David's palace. They look around and this is what they see. It's very hard to tell if you're not an archaeologist what we're looking at. People sometimes, and people imagine certain things. So maybe they're imagining a Disney palace when they come here. But when Eilat Mazal starts to describe what they found, that's when I would call it circumstantial evidence to start with. First of all, the bedrock. A king would be living probably at the highest part of the city. That's what I would choose. You have the best air, you have the best view. Plus, to me, it also reminds me of the story of David and Bathsheba. How is he able to see all the roofs underneath him? He's living at the highest part of the city. So this is the bedrock, not far. The bedrock.
This is David's bedrock.
This is the bedrock, the highest point in the hill almost, except the king in Jerusalem does not live on top of the highest point because the peak of the mountain is where the temple was.
Wow.
So we're on the same slope, the same hill as the mountain, but at a higher part of the city, but not the top. Then it is covered with plaster. You can see plaster on the floor here. Now plaster
that,
3,000 years ago means they had to go to the mountain nearby, cut out the stone, crush it, use all that labor to plaster the floor in such a large area. That's not something that people have in their own house. So much plaster on the floor is not the work of one person, not even one family. This is the labor of a big group. This is, again, everything is suitable for a king. Everything we see here at the top
And
of the mountain.
How big would you say it was? I mean, we're looking at quite a large area here.
That wall over there is the edge of it. Again, this is the foundation. What we see in archaeology all these years later are the foundations.
You don't see
2
that.
meters,
Exactly.
6 meters wide wall. You can imagine the superstructure above it. The other side of this wall is a very steep wall, a retaining wall supporting, I mean, if we see the retaining wall, we imagine the superstructure above it. So the wall down there, that was discovered in the 1980s already. But what Eilat Mazal does is she makes the connection between these supporting walls, the retaining wall underneath them, the height, the floor, and over there you can actually see a beautiful
Oh, I just was
capital.
looking at that, yeah.
So this is a replica of a capital that was found actually down the hill. In her imagination, she lifts it up to the part over here, and it's part of a structure. This is not something that regular people had in their homes. Putting all of these together, that's why I say circumstantial evidence, because the sign, "Welcome to the house of King David," was not found. But the biggest building on the hill outside the temple is found over here. And then she starts to go into the small finds, what she finds here. And this is actually a very interesting key. When we go to the Bible, the book of Jeremiah, Jeremiah is the prophet at the last days of the temple in Jerusalem. He is the last prophet in Jerusalem. He prophesies over the city that will be destroyed. He comes in a very tough time. Being a prophet, I always say, is not an easy task. In fact, it's very thankless.
Exactly.
Because he goes against the people. He needs to tell them things they don't necessarily want to hear. Jeremiah's position and work was even harder because 120 years before him was a previous prophet, Isaiah, who prophesied about salvation. The time of these or similar situations, Isaiah is prophesying while in northern army, the Assyrians are besieging the city, the days of King Hezekiah. This is a period which is very detailed, both in the Bible and in archaeology over this hill. This is the 8th century BCE. We have the water tunnel of King Hezekiah. We have the Assyrian arrowheads, the description of the Assyrian kings. All of this siege of Jerusalem. And Isaiah is standing here and telling the people, don't worry, God will defend the city. And sure enough, the city was protected. The people of Jerusalem are living in a concept saying God will never destroy his home. Into this, Jeremiah comes in. A northern kingdom, this time the Babylonians, are about to destroy the city. They're besieging the city. And he tells the people, go and surrender. Those who surrender to the Babylonians will live. Those who fight and stand, God will not save his home if the people don't follow the rules. Sure. If you don't treat people with justice, the widows and the orphans, the city won't last. And people don't want to hear that. And we see a story in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 37, when the 3 ministers come to the king and they actually tell him, Jeremiah is demoralizing the people. So much that they take him and throw him into a pit. And he's drowning there in mud. If I was making a film about the book of Jeremiah, that would be it. Jeremiah hanging in the mud and the slave is pulling him out. And when I'm opening the book of Jeremiah, chapter 37...
I'm going to go with you there, yeah.
Who are these ministers that we have their names? And why is it so interesting? I'm going into this story. 37, verse 3.
I'm looking at that, yeah.
Okay, so Jeremiah is going, and we see the names. King Tzidkiyahu has Yehuchal, son of Shelemiah. Zephaniah, son of Masiah, the priest. They go to Jeremiah. A few verses later, Jeremiah tells them the different words. And in 38, we hear Shphatiah, son of Matan, Gedaliah, son of Pashchur, Yuchal, son of Shelemiah, Pashchur, son of Malkiah. Hear the words. This is the whole story of Jeremiah, where he tells he demoralizes the people.
38.
Chapter 38.
Jeremiah 38. Then it says, Shephatiah, the son of Matan, and Gedaliah, the son of Pashur, and Yuchal, the son of Shelemiah, and Pashur, the son of Malkiah, heard the words that Jeremiah had spoken unto all the people.
They go on and throw him into a pit. But when I focus on their names, when I start digging the Bible, we just looked at the shell, but she starts to sift through the dirt, which is found here. I said the early archaeologists were looking for golden treasures, but she's looking at pottery. She's looking at small finds. And some of the things that she finds here and discovers...
You got to see this, guys.
...are small seals that were used to seal letters. Now, not everybody in ancient times had the right...
Refresh your home with 50% off select home decor at Hobby Lobby. Out with the old and in with what's you. Find everything you need to make your home feel cozy, stylish.
Let me see here.
So we're talking about seals maybe this size. They're used to seal letters. These are not the first ones that were ever discovered in archaeological dig. A few years earlier, they were found down the hill, one of them bearing the name also from the Bible, Gemariyahu ben Shaphan. But what are the chances that Gemariyahu is the exact son, or Gemariyahu, son of Shaphan, is the exact guy from the book of the Bible? Chance, it's the first one. When she continues to dig and she finds one bearing the name Yehuchal, son of Shelemiah, and Gedaliah, son of Pashchur, and Gemariyahu ben Shaphan, these are already 3 guys from the book of Jeremiah, from the end of the days of the Bible, that have left their mark over here. I mean, it's not, this is the name of someone who actually lived here 2,500 years ago. How does this relate to David? In the dynasty of David, there was always continuation. There's no overthrow. The king from the house of David continued always to sit on the throne. He has no reason to leave the palace. These ministers, the palace is not just where the king sleeps. This is where he rules and moves the kingdom. There's no surprise that the ministers would be active over here. So the last people living in this palace left behind them some of their evidence before the city was destroyed. And that is why she says this is the palace of the kings of Judah. And as far as we know, the father of this dynasty is David. Some people would say it's a definite maybe, right? That's how we look at archaeology today. I didn't find a sign saying, welcome to David's palace. Some people would say, well, I don't want to believe, I don't want it. And some people say, you know what, I'm willing to accept circumstantial evidence. This is good enough. It's a palace on top of the hill. I don't have a better candidate than this. And I think this is the argument in archaeology. When I walk through here, I see the stories come to life.
And you got to put the whole thing together too. You got to put everything around here together to come to that conclusion. Here we are standing in the palace of the kings of Judah. And what is so beautiful is when you look really and kind of start to imagine what this looked like, and you look at that beautiful arch over there, or part of it.
A capital, right?
Yeah. It shows you kind of the elegance of what this looked like back then.
I would add to this, this is a Phoenician style. We know David uses the king of Tyre from Phoenicia to build his palace.
Exactly.
This is another evidence. This is not a private home. This is a king's
I did not know
level.
About it being Phoenician style. Wow.
This is Phoenician style. We have them all over Judah and Israel. Influence from north, and the Bible tells us the king of Tyre, Hiram, sent his workers to help build structures
Now,
also in Jerusalem.
I know we're not supposed to be going on feelings, but I sure felt something when I walked in here. My radar is really working. I love it. Okay.
So now,
Awesome.
do we want to
great.
see the stepped structure or Jeremiah's pit?
I'd like to see Jeremiah's pit and then go down the steps.
So
Okay,
over
let's go.
here.
Saints, this is like, I don't know how to describe it except every part of you goes numb kind of thing, you know? Because you're standing, you feel frankly on holy ground, and it really is holy ground. You're in the Bible. You're in it. You're in the Bible. You know what I mean? Like in the Bible, you're walking in the Bible. Let's go.
King David's palace was a substantial structure, likely covering an area of approximately 10,000 square feet. As the royal residence and center of power and administration, it would have featured a grand hall and a spacious courtyard, surrounded by residential rooms with staircases leading to upper stories.
Wow. After you.
Just please watch your steps here.
We are walking in the palace.
So this is all plastered bedrock. You can see over here.
So we are standing on the foundation of the palace.
Above us.
Exactly.
Everything is above us, standing, a big structure. And here we really feel how big this is, especially when we think of 3,000 years ago. This is before the Roman archaeology, before the Roman architecture, before the big, structures we know at the time. Regular structures are much, much, much smaller. Families live in smaller buildings, tents. It's a different way of
Like
of
I
building.
know you said earlier, people question this, people question that. But the thing is this: you have to add all the other pieces together. In other words, we are south of Temple Mount. Okay, we are near Siloam. We are near the steps mentioned in Nehemiah 3:15. It all adds up. It all adds up. So we are not standing in a location in some other place like outside Jerusalem. We are in the right spot where the Bible says the city of David is. Okay? So there's no other place. I mean, when you think about, where the temple is, where it stood, and you're right south of that. So where else can this be except the city of David and the house of David and the palace of David? And everything else fits with it. Everything else including finding these coins of these men, these officials in the government, in the really court of the king. It's so much, it's amazing. So let's go and look at much more. I am really very excited about the fact we're about to go down the steps, the very steps mentioned in Nehemiah 3:15, the same steps that the man went down when he was healed of blindness in John 9, you know, Pool of Siloam. So we're going to show you that and more today. Okay, let's go.
Walking through this excavation area also reveals the Second Temple period, from the Jews' return in 516 BC after the Babylonian captivity to the destruction of the city by the Romans in 70 AD.
Okay.
Like this, for example, this is a stepped pool, 2,000 years. So this is not the first temple period. This is the Second Temple period.
Right.
Not King David, 1st century. This is the time where Jews, we have in the different sources, talking about the idea of purity and impurity spreading all over. In Hebrew, we use one word to describe this. This is a mikveh.
Yeah.
One of hundreds that were discovered surrounding the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. This was dug into in a later period. And so we have here a mix of different periods, one on top of the other.
Let's go, Asaf. Show me more. There is no place like Jerusalem. There is no place like Israel. There's no place to come to really feel, I don't know, that's not even the right word, but really get into the Bible. Even your emotions are a part of it. Everything is a part of it.
So this is, again, an ongoing excavation, though you've probably been here a few years ago.
Right.
But you came in
well,
a
I
different
didn't see
way.
This part. No, yeah. So what is this here?
This is the cistern. This is the big
That-
cistern we stood above that we
that
say
Jeremiah-
Jeremiah was thrown into. That's a suggestion.
Wow, wow,
Because
wow,
we
wow,
don't
wow.
have such a big cistern that was discovered. This is near the king's court. This is a big...
So this is it here?
Yeah.
Is that where they threw him down?
I always say it's a definitely maybe. But it's a good one.
This is incredible.
What's
Jeremiah was thrown in this. Remember, they made clothing. They made like a robe for him out of
clothes?
cloth,
Rugs.
and picked him up out of the dungeon. It's right there. Look at that.
Right. This is a later entrance, right? This is
Well,
broken
of
in
course,
by
yeah, you opened it,
archaeologists.
yeah. So this was the
You
only
came
way in.
through here, and you can see how big this is. You can see on the wall you have layers of plaster. So that means this was a cistern, a hydraulic plaster preventing the water from seeping out, and at a certain time was probably filled with mud. So I can just imagine Jeremiah looking up
Hey
to the
guys,
opening.
so Jeremiah, you see that hole right there? We were standing earlier looking through that right there. And Jeremiah was in here. Lord, I thank you for this moment. I thank you for letting us see this. Precious, precious Jesus, thank you. Wow. You all know when the gentleman who was an Ethiopian went to the king, and then they brought Jeremiah up, and they had to kind of tie some clothing together or some kind of a cloth. It was right here. He was probably standing where I'm standing, laying in a muddy, wet, muddy place with his clothing all dirty with mud, and it's cold in here. Imagine what it was like for him at night. All because he obeyed the Lord.
And who came to save him? The slave that he spoke for the rights of the slaves.
Exactly. And they picked him up, and most likely, because it's the only one I can see, there are some others, but they're kind of a little small. Probably right here, or one of them, but most likely this. They pulled him right up. I have never been here. In my opinion, this is one of the holiest areas of Jerusalem. the city of David is really holy because so much has happened. I mean, the ark was in its own tent here. And Solomon said, it says about Solomon, that he would not let his Egyptian wife live here because this was holy ground.
Need better sleep? We can help. It's Mattress Firm's President's Day sale. Get a king bed for a...
So she had to go somewhere else. Wow. Next time you read the book of Jeremiah, say, I was in that dungeon. I was in that place where they threw him in.
This would be the image. The light coming in from, today it's all lit, but then it's dark.
Imagine
he's in mud to his neck. And suddenly light comes from above and he sees the slave throwing rugs to him and helping him. And then he's like hanging on them. He doesn't have power. He puts them under his armpits and they're pulling him up to, that's the...
And you wonder how deep the mud was. Like, I'm sure with all the rain and all the, because they clean it now, but think about nobody was cleaning this place back then. Wow. Okay. Well, let's go and see more. I'm so excited.
We're now under the road that you came from, just to locate us.
Okay.
We know that wherever you dig in Jerusalem, you'll find something. Take a shovel, start digging. We don't always have the opportunity. People are living in these homes, but this case was a parking lot. I actually probably have
It
a
was a
picture.
parking lot.
It was the parking lot of the old city, of the people who came to visit the Western Wall. I, as a child, we used to park here. It's called the Givati parking lot. And this was the parking lot.
Okay.
And basically they dug to the edge of the parking lot. And what they find here, we're on the slope of the hill of the city of David. We're in this parking lot. So here you see the bedrock, the slope of the hill. And here is a valley, which we don't see in our eyes usually because it's filled up with houses all the way. The Western Wall is also in this valley. The Cheesemaker's Valley.
So we are, this is the city of David right here.
This is the hill of the city of David, exactly.
Right. This is Temple Mount, and there it is.
Yes.
So we are standing south
Exactly.
of Temple Mount, right? Which is, you can see it with your own eyes. And here we are in the city of David. And now, what did they find here?
So what they find here, as I said, dig outside, dig anywhere, you'll find something. They find here evidence to different periods of Jerusalem.
Okay.
All the way to the time where people continued to live inside. So the latest we're looking at is a Roman villa. That's dirt that came out, was sifted through, and you find pottery. You can see pottery shards like handles of jugs.
I see
Over here. Different remains and parts of all the history of Jerusalem, of thousands of years. It's a city that for thousands of years has never stopped being lived in. That's also something about Jerusalem. There's always been people here, and they built their houses on top of what was here before. So you can't just come and see a structure standing, but you dig and you get to see the different layers.
Would you allow like young people that we know to come here and help you?
Yes, they have every year. They have volunteers who come and spend a few weeks here excavating.
How beautiful. Oh.
In the archaeology of this area,
Right.
we know this is a rule of thumb. If the wall is aligned on east-west lines or south-north, this is Roman or later.
Okay.
Roman period or later.
I
If it's
understand.
aligned with the natural lines of the hill, this is earlier to the Roman period. And when you look down here, you can see a Hellenistic wall. So that is Greek, 2,200 years old. And you see cutting it and built above it and continuing over there is actually a Roman villa, which is almost 1,800 years old, with rooms around it, with a peristyle courtyard, which was excavated down. It's a destructive science. Everything you take out, you're the first person to touch after thousands of years, but also the last one to see in place. So everything is documented. You can go into the website and see all the documentation of the layers that were discovered. The part which is covered, they dug into the middle of the courtyard of this Roman villa, went to the lowest layer they have right now, which is the end of the First Temple period. They actually find homes that were destroyed, and you see different layers of destruction, partly destroyed by fire, that destroyed Jerusalem in the year 586 BC, and part maybe this is a suggestion, the destruction that took place about 10 years before when we had the elite of Jerusalem leave to Babylon. So you have two houses. One was packed and kind of left, and one was burnt and left. But that's the layer over there which is covered. It's so delicate. Once it's exposed, they have to cover it from rain and the elements. But that's what they're currently excavating. The end of the first temple period, the destruction of Jerusalem in 586 BC. And what you see from the evidence found there is that we're walking through a wealthy area of the city.
I see that.
It's the wealthier part, the wealthy people. That's why it's connected also to the area where the palace was.
And you're not really done with all the work you're doing. And let's keep walking, huh?
And we're crossing now the hill to the other slope. You can see this is one slope, and we're crossing to the other slope, and we'll cross back again to this slope, to the
every
steps.
part of it is holy. Every part.
Like I said, you can read the Bible anywhere in the world. There's no other place you can come and touch it.
What do you feel here, huh? Surreal, surreal, like explain the word surreal. I know what it means, but explain it to me as you see it.
It doesn't feel real, it's supernatural.
Exactly.
To me, surreal sounds so real.
I know.
It's another...
I know.
All right, say it plugs it in. Perfect. We'll start the car. I need a tap to begin the scan. Now
That's the best explanation I think I've heard. A new reality.
As they began the long walk to an area mentioned in the book of Nehemiah, Benny Hinn and his companions discussed their amazement at what they were witnessing in the city of David and the significance of these findings in verifying the authenticity of the Bible and its historical record. Their route led them through what is known as the Royal Quarter, a residential area inhabited by notable citizens, royal officials, and other wealthy residents of Jerusalem during the First Temple period. The homes were built in a style known as the four-room house, typical for the era, and featured 2 stories. Artifacts recovered from the excavations, including pottery and furniture crafted from wood imported from Syria, point to the elevated status of the area's inhabitants. A stone toilet seat set over a pit near a dwelling is a rare and telling sign of the area's considerable wealth.
This is where they found this is old, but they found the toilet that shows about the wealth of the people who lived here. They have a toilet bowl.
Oh.
A toilet bowl is a symbol of wealth. It's funny.
That's so funny.
More than that. They even were able to, with the tools they have today, to see what the people ate.
Wow.
Here in Jerusalem,
Really?
2,500 years ago, but before the city was destroyed. They find remains of bones of fish that were imported.
Fish.
Wow.
So you see, the people here are living. It's wealth. These are some of the ways to see wealthy people. This is a wealthy part of the city by the palace.
So you found fish bone.
Yeah, part of the worms that they had of raw meat and different, just continuing the evidence of the story that we read in the Bible.
Fish bone from fish that didn't come from here.
Right. There's
That
no
they
sea,
imported.
no sea over here, so it's imported.
Oh yeah, exactly. This is fascinating.
Tomorrow, Benny Hinn's exploration of the City of David archaeological site continues with 2 remarkable locations. First, you'll visit a long set of ancient stairs mentioned in the book of Nehemiah, a path Jewish pilgrims used to access the Temple Mount. At the other end of the steps lies the excavation site of the Pool of Siloam. Pilgrims purified themselves here before ascending to the temple, and it was at this very location that Jesus healed a blind man, as recorded in the Gospel of John. As you experience these sites, your faith will be strengthened. Don't miss tomorrow's inspiring episode from the City of David.